Morning, everybody. Welcome to Real Estate Radio. And with me on this podcast, I have got Scott Picken. He's the CEO of Wealth Migrate. Wealth Migrate, a digital platform that is probably at the forefront of investment if you're looking to do crowd investment funding. And Scott will tell us a little bit about that. In fact, they were entered into the FinTech Award. So definitely a leader in that particular category. And we've also got two special guests, which I will introduce a little bit later. But I think why we're here is that Wealth Migrate is hosting live events in Durban on the 12th of November. That's this month. Cape Town on the 13th, Johannesburg on the 14th, and Pretoria on the 15th. And really, I think this is a fantastic opportunity before the big year is out. Get sort of a direction in terms of where your investments are going. And I think Scott is a leader. He's definitely at the forefront of specifically if we're talking about global investment. And some of the things he'll be talking about is how to manage risk, preserve and grow your capital, how to diversify, simplify, and simply, I think, and safely without the hassle of investing offshore. And not many people are leaders in this game. Scott is. And Scott is also going to share with us about the disruption and the opportunities coming for global real estate that's coming beyond now and 2020 and beyond. So Scott, first of all, very warm welcome to you.
Awesome. Thanks very much for having us online. It's always a pleasure to share with your listeners.
No, great stuff, man. Scott, so listen, I know this. I'm quite excited about this event coming up. I see you flying in people from all around the world. You seem to bring all the experts together.
Yeah, no, thank you, Neil. I mean, look, we've been helping South Africans invest internationally since 2004. We've helped about 4,000 South Africans invest internationally. And I always say the two most important things that people need are information and partners. So it's all good and well to come along to a breakfast and get the information. But what makes the events actually so much better is when the partners are going to be on the ground. It's very difficult for people with both time and money to be able to fly all over the world and to meet all the partners. But what we've done, for 15 years is try and choose the best trusted partners and actually bring them to our events so that people can kind of have a one-stop shop experience and meet them face to face, shake their hands, look them in the eyes, and see if they're people that they want to trust and do business with.
Fantastic. Now, I see, Scott, you've got a great lineup. I see you've got Hilda Lindenstedt. I mean, I know her. She's a serial entrepreneur. She's emigrated, I know, to the USA quite recently. And I mean, she's highly successful, multi-millionaire. I mean, she invests in real estate globally. So she's going to be there. And I see also Garth Wellman, key wealth advisor, and also our two guests, which I'm going to go interview. I'm going to introduce it to you guys a little bit later from RBK Homes. It's James Bright. He's the global sales director, and Bavin Shah. So, guys, we'll get you a little bit later. But Scott, yes, I think tell us a little bit about the team that you've invited. I mean, this is quite an interesting lineup.
Again, Neil, what we find is that you've got people that are at different levels, and I don't mean different levels of wealth, I mean different levels of experience. I don't care if you're highly sophisticated and you own a whole bunch of commercial property in South Africa. If you're looking to invest overseas for the first time, you're going to feel the same fear that you felt when you bought your first house. It's just been my experience having invested on 4 different continents. Every time I go to a new continent, I experience that. So what we try and do with the breakfast is we bring together various different angles. And why it's important is that, I wrote the book Property Going Global, which came out in 2014, and you actually had a big part to play in that because you introduced me to Clem Sunter, and he was one of the people that endorsed the book. But my point being is that we'll start off with all the information and the knowledge around investing offshore, how to do it, how do you find the right information, how do you find the right partners, how do you manage risk, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I can go into that as much detail as you want. But what I find is that people want to hear real people and real stories. And someone like Hilda Lindenstedt, as you said, she's a serial entrepreneur. She's a highly successful South African business lady. She's won numerous awards across South Africa, Africa, and now more recently, even in America. But what I love about her story is she epitomizes what it means to be a global citizen. You said that she's immigrated to America, which she has. We actually helped her do that. So the whole point of people being able to come is to be able to hear from someone in terms of their real stories and be inspired by what is possible. And she started on her journey back in 2013 in terms of investing offshore. And it's quite interesting because a lot of people think that they're going to come along to an event and suddenly, tomorrow morning they'll be able to immigrate overseas. It doesn't work like that. You have to start a journey. And then, someone like Garth Wellman, he basically advises 85 of the wealthiest families in South Africa and in America. And so what we're wanting to do with him is that we believe that where the world is going at the moment, it's a fairly interesting time from an economics and political stance. And so we wanted to get the insights of what the wealthiest are doing to protect their capital. What are they doing in terms of tax and structuring? What are they doing in terms of balanced portfolios? Do you diversify and invest more, in other countries, or do you put all your money and your assets in South Africa and hold it in terms of the rand? And again, Neil, I know that you follow very similar principles to me, which is if you want to be successful, copy successful people. Well, rather than me sharing what other people are doing, rather invite someone like Garth Wellman that is helping 85 of the wealthiest people in the country, and people can literally get to ask him the questions and then be able to copy and implement the strategies.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Thanks, Scott. And then, of course, we've got our two UK guys from RBK Homes, and we're sitting on the eve of a Rugby World Cup final. South Africa is going to be playing England in the Rugby World Cup final. We got our two guests from the UK. They're sitting in the UK. They're going to be coming over to this event for that week on the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. So, guys, we'll have a good chat to see and a good discussion to see who's going to win the Rugby World Cup. So our two guests are James Bright. He's the Global Sales Director. And we've got Bevan Shah, and he's the Chief Financial Officer of RBK Homes. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you all.
Great. Bevan, just tell us a little bit about RBK Homes. Tell us a little bit about the background about the company. What do you do? And certainly from an investment perspective.
So RB Care Homes essentially is one of the market leaders in terms of providing, we're a care home operator looking after the elderly, and we specialize in dementia care in the UK. So we're adding life on, as well as we specialize in taking contracts from the government. So we specialize in solely, I would say, government funding. Maybe 20% of our portfolio is privately funded, 80% governmentally funded. At the moment, as I'm sure you guys are aware, there's a huge shortage in care homes in the UK. And especially at this time where, we're finally seeing the World War II baby boomers coming to fruition, where there's simply a lot more demand than supply for care homes. So we're certainly seeing that. And in terms of the investment side, we are raising finance and funding in order to acquire more and more care homes. So at the moment, we're sitting strong at 17 care homes, and we're hoping to grow rapidly and continue to provide a great service to our investors as well as our patients in the care homes.
Fantastic. James, do you want to maybe share a little bit about how would somebody, why is it such a good category? I mean, what's actually happening? And in South Africa, we get confronted with a lot of different investments. So maybe just describe it a little bit in more detail. Why is it such a good opportunity?
So care investments in general are very strong. Year on year, the health industry is constantly received backing from local authorities, from the government, from the NHS. It's a very, very recession-proof investment. It doesn't matter what happens. We're all going to get old. One day we're all going to need some kind of assisted care, whether that's at home or whether it's being admitted into, obviously, one of our establishments. So, all in all, no matter what happens, we can't get away from getting old. So it creates a very long, stable investment that's consistently received backing and is looked upon favourably. And no matter what, we're always working, we're always paying our taxes, we're always paying our national insurance, etc., etc. Everybody's going to retire one day, and it's a stability at the end of that, So it's a very, very safe investment.
Great. Scott, you've obviously identified this as a major opportunity for South African investors. Can you maybe just share what was the criteria that you went through? I mean, I know you've got a great track record with in the medical sector, so maybe you want to just share us why you identified RB Care Homes as a great opportunity.
So Neil, I'd like to take a step back, and you and I met each other in the previous decade, actually in the early 2000s. And I started a company in 2004 called International Property Solutions, and we primarily help people buy houses and apartments. And we went into the crash in 2008, 2009. We'd helped about 2,500 people buy houses and apartments. And I met two very wealthy businessmen. One was a US dollar billionaire, one was a US dollar millionaire. And I said to them, what are you investing in? You know, we're right in the heart of the last crash. And they said, medical buildings. And, you know, without being arrogant, I have a honors degree cum laude, I have a master's degree cum laude, but no one had ever taught me medical. And I said, why medical? And they said, well, think about it. No matter what happens in the global economy, people need doctors. Secondly, doctors never leave their premises. And thirdly, you know, doctors are very good at being doctors, but they're not very good accountants. And so they sign good long-term leases. And I remember sitting there and thinking, this is an absolute no-brainer. And, you know, we were in Bondi Beach, Sydney. And I said, right, I want to participate. And they said, well, the problem is that there's 8 slots and it's 5 million Australian dollars each. So I was like, oh, okay. That's what I call financial exclusion. Like I wanted to participate, but I didn't have $5 million. Ever since that story, we've pushed very hard to build Wealth Migrate and to allow all of us the opportunity to invest in what I would call, you know, previously, it's the sort of investment the top 1% are investing in that the rest of the world are not investing in. And as when one looks at medical, that then expanded into aged care. And, you know, James has actually rightly spoken already about the baby boomers. Kim Santa actually said if you put a roof on England, it would be known as an old age home. And you know, so one of the ways to make money in property is to follow long-term trends. And when you look at the baby boomers, when you look at aged care, when you look at medical, retirement homes, all that whole sector, it's a very strong sector in England, Australia, and America. And what's really important for us is that within that sector, when you're looking for long-term trends, is to then find the right partners and to have partners with track record. So as they've already mentioned, they've actually got 17 care homes already that they're operating and that they are, you know, paying. Well, sorry, they're helping not only the guests, but they also are paying the investors the returns. What we like about it, though, Neil, is a couple of things. The first is that any investment that I'm looking at the moment, personally, needs to be economically resilient. I'm very concerned about where the world economy is going, and I think that it's very important to be focusing on assets that are going to pay you a passive income and are economically resilient, even in an economic downturn and or crash. And I tend to joke with people, but as they've already mentioned, they've got government leases. And I don't really care what happens with Brexit, whether it happens or doesn't happen. They're not going to put their old people on the streets. It's not going to happen.
That's correct.
So you've got something that's very economically resilient. The second thing that you know, you're in a sector where, you know, when you've got a lease for an aged care, it's not like a residential tenant that can up and leave, you know, in 6 to 12 months. You know, it's like medical centers, aged care. You know, once they are that type of property, they stay like that forever, quite frankly. And, you know, so you've got a very long-term tenant, and in this case, it's actually the government, which is fantastic. And the third thing that I love is that you've got the consistency of income. And in this case, you know, I've been investing in England since 2002, and to be able to get a 10% cash-on-cash return in pounds is actually unheard of. And, you know, you're definitely not going to do it in the buy-to-let sector. However, well, you might do it up in North England where they claim you'll get those type of returns, but generally you don't. And generally, when you're investing in getting those type of returns, it's very high risk. Whereas in this case, for all the reasons I've already said, it's a lot lower risk. And the reason that the returns can be paid is because it's a unique sector within the aged care. So you know, Neil, I know you've done a lot of work with Dolph DeRuis and they, you know, Robert Kiyosaki, and they always say, find the angle. This is the angle, and that's how you can have low risk but with good returns and consistent returns, which is what we love, you know. Because no matter what happens globally, you know, I'd want to be able to get paid a 10% cash-on-cash return every quarter, which is fantastic. And I mean, just in case people don't understand what 10% is, if you put in £100, you get paid, after all expenses, you get paid £10 a year net, which basically means you get paid, you know, £2.50 a quarter. That is unheard of. I'm not talking capital growth. I'm not talking rand devaluation. I'm not even talking yield. I'm talking net return after expenses. It's very important people understand that.
Excellent. Okay, so I think this is when I think I'll bring in Bevan. I mean, Bevan, I think as an investor, I think a few of the people would be asking, okay, well, look, how much are we looking at? What's the minimum sort of investment amount? Secondly, what am I actually investing in? And thirdly, how long will I be investing in? So maybe you can just share the numbers, being the CFO of the company.
Lovely. So our typical investment horizon, it's a long-term investment. However, we have guaranteed buyback clauses, so where we allow you to exit at defined dates, year 3, year 5, year 9, 15, 20, where you can exit at a defined appreciation rate. So it allows us to refinance the portfolio, float as a company, or buy you out from our internal income. So that's there. Also, the growth, as Scott rightly said, that the income or the net returns are paid every quarter. So it's defined dates. It doesn't matter when you sort of invest. It's a logistical nightmare for us if we have to pay out that same date. So we have defined quarterly dates that we pay investors their returning. And typically a room in our care homes start at £75,000. It's sort of the starting price, but I know that Scott has structured something where it could be a lower entry for your investors as well.
Right. Okay. So maybe, James, you can tell me, I mean, you mentioned, I think it was 17 developments that's under RB Care Homes. And maybe you can probably just give us a typical example of a typical type investor. I mean, and I would assume that it's not, you don't only have capital, the raise from the UK, you obviously have it outside the UK. I mean, hence why you're targeting South Africans.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a very, very varied investor database. People come from all over the world looking for a good, solid opportunity. We've got people over in Hong Kong, China, Israel, the UK, Germany, Belgium. Very, very varied where our investors come from. And obviously our doors are open to everybody. So, yeah, pretty simple, really. We're open to anybody that's looking for a solid opportunity.
Right. So, gentlemen, maybe you can just share what can we look forward to when you guys come, because I think it sounds very interesting. It's something that, and maybe Scott, when he wraps up, he could just tell us, this particular category. I'm not aware of it being as an investment opportunity in South Africa right now. So it's a pretty new category. Is that kind of your experience?
We're very excited, first and foremost, to be able to go over there and meet everybody. It's an exciting opportunity for us. And it presents something to South African investors that, as you mentioned, possibly is something new to them. So, yeah, I mean, if it opens up a door and a line of communication between us, it's great. So, yeah, we're very, very excited to be going over there. Very, very pleased to be working with Scott. And, yeah, we can't wait, to be honest. Looking forward to meet you all.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe Scott, you can just tell us a little bit about what can we expect when you guys come over to South Africa from your presentation. I mean, obviously, there's a whole big Brexit thing. You're going to share that?
Yes, absolutely. So we're going to go into insight of our breakdown of fee income, how Brexit actually benefits this sector, what you should be wary of with Brexit, and how sustainable the investment is, and a full market analysis of the care home sector. So there's a lot to look forward to.
Fantastic. Sure. Great stuff. Hey, James, I mean, I'm sure you're going to share some of the numbers because, investors are sort of yield chasers as well. So they would love to see some of that. I'm sure you're going to have some good stuff for us there as well.
Oh, definitely. We've got untold information. It's going to be a wealth of knowledge. We're looking forward to going through everything, the ins and outs. We'll show you, obviously, how the whole thing works, the fee incomes, the breakdowns, how the fee income's paid, where it comes from. Yeah, all the numbers from top to bottom. And yeah, we're very, very excited to go over there and go through it with you.
Fantastic. Scott, so maybe in closing, you can tell us, because I think we've really got a great lineup here. I really think that everybody should actually be there. And so maybe you want to just tell us, I think, what we can expect. I mean, we've really had a great chat now. I'm looking forward to it. And I just encourage everybody to book. So maybe you want to just tell us where they can go to book, etc., and what they can expect.
Well, Neil, I mean, to make it easy for your listeners, we'll just give a link they can literally click below on your platform in terms of, so that we can track it and make it easy for them. In terms of going forward, like I said already, it is the time of the year. It's a busy time of the year, but I'm extremely excited. It's very seldom you get quality partners like this that are prepared to come out and meet with the clients. We've got quite an extensive track record. We've already done business with RB Care Homes. And so we're really excited about them coming out and, people being able to meet them face to face. It's a unique opportunity. And, it's one of these things where you either take action and come along and get involved. And what I mean by getting involved is not necessarily investing, but just actually coming to the event, meeting them and, getting a sense as to whether it's something that suits you. I did a recording this morning, Neil, on, somewhere else. And what I don't like, and this because you and I have been in this industry for so long, more than 80% of people that invest offshore actually lose money. And, that for me is a ridiculously bad statistic. And, we want to make sure that people, are getting the three things. The first thing is they're getting the information so that they're not part of that statistic. The second thing is they can actually meet the partners face to face. They can truly understand what they do and how the sector works. And for those people that feel comfortable, they can actually take action and go into Christmas knowing they've got a good plan in place for wealth preservation, a plan B, and peace of mind. Great.
And I think there's also a massive networking opportunity, Scott, besides all the information share that we're going to get from James and Bevan, and in fact also from Hilda and Garth as well, and yourself. So, there's great information share, great networking. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Specifically, James and Bevan, we look forward to seeing you in South Africa in the next, I think it's in just about 2 weeks' time.
Lovely. Look forward to it.
You guys have a wonderful platform, and it's all about education and sharing with people the possibilities that they often don't get to hear about. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Great. Yeah, thanks very much, guys. Thank you, Scott. And everybody, just as a final reminder, just go click on the link below. We will send you the link. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great day.